And we're good. You guys can all hear me, right? Okay. All right. Awesome. So thank you guys for joining us tonight. And thank you so much to Megan for taking the time out to chat with us. I know that your schedule is crazy, and in another week, it's probably going to get crazier. So I appreciate you taking the time to come on with us tonight. For those of you who may be under a rock and you don't know who Megan is, she is our newest super trainer. She is the winner of our show, The 20s, that we had on Beachbody On Demand. And she's here to talk a little bit about her story and Clean Week and everything that's kind of happened in between. So I'm going to turn it right over to you, Megan, and I'm just going to kind of let you take it away. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to hop on.
No, thank you guys for having me. Like, this whole experience has been like a whirlwind and absolutely crazy, but you, like, all of the coaches have been so nice and supportive and friendly. So I never mind, you know, having this time to jump on calls, because it's what it's all about, right? So yeah, thank you guys so much. But yeah, so usually run these calls just by kind of telling you a little bit about me, my fitness journey and my backgrounds, because that's really where Clean Week came from. So sorry if you've heard me talk at any of the Saturdays or anything like that, because I've been telling the story. I told Carl at the Super Friday I was at, I was like, I don't know, I feel like everybody's heard my story. And he's like, there's a lot of coaches, Megan, like, they haven't all heard your story. So basically, when I was growing up, I was the only fit person in my family. And I kind of use the term fit loosely because I was physically fit, but I was kind of eating all of the same garbage the rest of my family was eating. And my family was kind of like the typical American family, in that we were, the rest of them were very sedentary. I just happened to be, you know, this like high energetic kid that always wanted to play sports, and I was into gymnastics and dance and stuff. But the rest of my family was very sedentary. And so they would go on this roller coaster diet all the time of gaining weight, losing weight, doing it in all the wrong ways, dieting down. And really our version of dieting was like diet soda and fat-free Hot Pockets. Like, we did not have any clue what a diet meant or what a lifestyle meant by any means. So yeah, my dad's version of dieting was just basically starving himself and going into the gym for hours on end. And he worked a lot when I was growing up. So he also couldn't maintain that kind of lifestyle. He didn't have the time to spend hours in the gym. He didn't have the energy to not be eating all day. So yeah, he would lose a bunch of weight, but of course something would catch up to him. Life would kind of get in the way again, and he would just balloon back up. So that's kind of how I grew up, was kind of not seeing my parents or any adults around me active, seeing them kind of do this yo-yo dieting all the time. And I was just kind of out working the bad diet that I was on. So I get to be about 14 years old, and that's when I decided that I wanted to do figure and fitness competitions. And my dad had always been interested in bodybuilding. We had like the Arnold Schwarzenegger encyclopedia of bodybuilding and stuff in the house. I have a picture of me and my dad when I was like 3, sitting there reading Muscle and Fitness together. So he was always into that. And so I started doing these figure and fitness competitions. And like I said, he worked a lot, and he worked to, you know, give my brothers and I opportunities that he didn't have. So sometimes he worked 2 jobs to do that. And so when I told him I wanted to do figure and fitness competitions, he was kind of like, okay, we need to get you a trainer. We need to get you all the stuff you need. And if you know anything about figure and fitness competitions, they're actually not cheap. The bathing suits are expensive, and the trainers and the hair and the makeup and the tans and the entry fees, like, it ends up being a very expensive sport. So I get to be about 16, and my dad's been, you know, supporting me through this journey. And one day I just go out into the audience during like the intermission portion, and I sat with him and I said, you know, Daddy, I feel so sorry for you. And he was like, you feel sorry for me? You're my daughter. Why do you feel sorry for me? You know, I should be setting the example for you. I don't understand. And I was like, you know, to me, it wasn't about him being overweight. At the time, he was 47 years old. He had a 42-inch waist, and we estimate him to have been about 100 pounds overweight, but he hadn't stepped on the scale in so long that we really don't know exactly how far he was overweight. So it wasn't actually about that. It was about the fact that he was taking all of his time to work to give us opportunities, but he wasn't doing any of it for himself. He wasn't taking the time for himself to be the healthy version of himself, to do the things he loved. And so that's why I was telling him, I feel so sorry for you. And so he was like, well, you know, that's pretty lame that my daughter feels sorry for me, is what he thought. And so in front of the rest of our family that night, he was like, well, by the time I'm 50 years old, in 3 years, I'm going to go get on that stage and I'm going to compete. And of course, the rest of my family is sitting there like trying to be supportive, like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. But in their head, they're thinking, we've been down this road before. Like, we'll see how long it lasts this time. We'll see, you know, how long you can starve yourself down and spend hours in the gym again. But it was a little bit different this time because I had a trainer. So I was lucky enough to have a trainer that not only showed me what to do, but why I was doing it. So I had a good knowledge base by that point. And so we started working out together. We were like working out in the garage, sometimes in the gym together, sometimes we would come to the trainer. And we started learning about nutrition together, which was really important for me, kind of outworking my nutrition at this point. You know, at one point, my body fat had gotten down so low from doing figure and fitness competitions and just kind of listening to what other people were doing and putting things together myself and not really knowing what was going on. I was on a treadmill one time and I went to go fix my ponytail and just a chunk of my hair came out in my hand while I was on the treadmill. And it was because I was getting my body fat down too low. I wasn't eating enough healthy fats. I was cutting things out of my diet. And I was just playing the guessing game. So it was just important for me being physically fit to learn that nutrition aspect as it was for my dad trying to get physically fit to learn the nutrition aspect. So we both had this like kind of middle ground that we could meet and work on this together. Once my dad started losing weight, of course, my mom was like, well, I'm going to lose weight too then with you. And then my brother was like, well, I'm going to do it too. So it became kind of a family affair where we're just kind of learning about this together, working out together, and supporting each other, which is so important. I'm in my gym right now, and a lot of times we have people come in and it'll be like, oh, well, I'm going to come work out and I want to learn about nutrition, but my husband or my wife doesn't want to do it with me. You know, they're doing their own thing. Or I want you to train my kid, but I'm not going to do it. And it doesn't work like that. Like, then it ends up being one person is trying to be good while the other person's trying to eat pizza, and nobody gets anywhere like that. You have to have that support system. It's so important to have that support at home. So that's a big part of Clean Week is this family atmosphere, is the support, probably like normal with any challenge group, but that's kind of my background and what I wanted to bring to Clean Week is that kind of family dynamic. So we started doing it together. My dad did lose all the weight. He did gain a bunch of muscle, and he did get on that stage by the time he turned 50. And his goal was not to embarrass himself, but he ended up winning his men's over 50 masters division. And then I got to go on stage and give him his trophy. So it was just a really cool moment for us. And then after that, of course, our family and friends start kind of looking at it and saying like, oh, well, what are you guys doing? Like, all of you got fit together. Like, we want to do it too. So we started training people in our garage, just family and friends, doing it for free, teaching people nutrition classes in my dad's living room, and just kind of started like that. We got so many people in our garage, we started training people in the park. And then I went off to UCF in Orlando. And so while I was at school there is when I got certified to train people. I started training people there, kind of found my passion for it. You know, before I was just kind of doing it for free and for fun. And it was like, oh, wow, I can have a job doing this. Like, this is awesome. But I left UCF, I got home, and while we were still training people in the garage, I got a desk job. And I was working at a dermatology office. And it was a fine job. I made good money. My dad's calling me right now, actually. I made good money. I liked the people I worked with. You know, it was an easy enough job. I liked it, but I still remember just thinking like, man, I used to be so active. I used to, you know, I would look out the window every single day while I was at this job and just be like, oh man, I can't sit here anymore and look at this computer. So I knew that I wanted to do something else. And so while I was sitting there one day, my dad called me up and he was like, you know, we have a lot of people in the garage and in the park still. We've talked about kind of one day owning a gym, but I kind of fell across this little tiny, like 1,000 square foot facility that I think might be perfect for us to start a gym at. And I'm going to go look at it in a couple of hours. You know, do you want to come look at it with me? And it's like noon. I'm at work, and I'm like, no, I can't leave my job. You know, I can't just go look at some magical facility and open up a gym. But I did ask my boss if I could leave that day, and she was like, yeah, sure, go ahead. We'll see you tomorrow. And I'm like, okay. So I get there, and sometimes you feel like you're in the right place at the right time. And that was one of those moments. And so we got there and we're just like, we have to see what happens. So I ended up signing a lease that day. We put all of the equipment that we had in the garage into the gym. I basically emptied out my bank accounts, you know, and we started painting all weekend because everything was lavender in this facility. It was lavender walls and lavender carpets and lavender light fixtures, and it was hideous. So we painted all weekend, and we had a gym by Monday, and then we were like, oh crap, what did we do? Like, we were doing something for free and for fun. Who knows if these people are actually going to join, you know, and now we have overhead. But I think because we were doing it from a place of love and just supporting people and wanting to bring people along with us on our fitness journey, people did come. And it ended up growing from that 1,000 square foot facility to 2,000 to 4,000 within just a couple of years. And now we're in our 6th year owning a gym, and a lot has changed over the years, but the fact that we're just doing it with love and support and bringing people along kind of as a family on our fitness journey hasn't changed. So actually in the first year that we were open, there was a production company that was in Coral Springs where we are, and we got a call like, hey, do you want this production company to come in and film in your gym? They're going to film something for Lifetime. And I'm like, I have a new gym that's going to be on Lifetime. This is great. This is going to be fantastic. Yes, come, bring whoever you want. Well, they bring Tony Horton. And so Tony Horton actually spent the entire day in my gym 5 years ago. And I just remember him being in the gym all day, following him around. We went to Chipotle together, and he's doing handstands off of random things and being crazy. And I just remember thinking this guy has the coolest job ever. And then I didn't think about it again for 5 years. But then about, October of 2015 is when I got the call to be on the 20s. And if you don't know, the 20s was a search for the next Beachbody Super Trainer. It's the reality show that's still available on Beachbody On Demand, so you guys can check it out. And so almost 2 years ago now, I get this call hey, do you want to be on this reality show? We really think that you would be great for it. You should put in all these videos and submit yourself for casting. And I was like, I do not want to be on a reality show. Absolutely not. If you don't know, I'm an introvert. I do not want to be on a reality show. This is not for me. So I said no. And they called me a second time a couple days later, and they're like, it's going to be awesome. It's actually a really positive reality show. It's not going to be like your normal crazy reality show. And it's for this company called Beachbody. And I'm like, I don't really know what Beachbody is, and I don't want to do reality shows. So no, I'm not going to do it. And so third time's a charm. They called me again a couple of days later, and they're like, please just put in your videos. And finally I'm like, okay, I'll put in the videos. And months went by and I didn't hear anything. And finally, they call me up and they say, hey, we need more information, and we're going to be moving you along in this casting process. And that's when I was like, okay, I need to figure out what I'm casting for. And so I look up Beachbody, and of course, the first thing that comes up is I see Tony Horton's face, and I'm like, oh, Beachbody, like, okay, like I need to take this seriously. Like, I don't care if it's a reality show and I'm not really into being on a reality show. Like, I need to do this. So finally, I decided to kind of go all in on this opportunity. And so they called me in at the February of 2016 and they said, okay, pack your bags. You could be in LA for 2 months or you can be in LA for 2 days. We're going to do the final casting process live and we'll see what happens. So I'm like, okay, I packed my bags. My mom thought I was getting kidnapped. She was like, what if this isn't even really Beachbody calling you? Like, what if this is just some random person? I'm like, this is very like, overdone ploy to kidnap me if they're trying to kidnap me, Mom. But so I go out there and they bring 20 people out and they narrow it down to 11 people that were going to move into this house and film the reality show. So I'll let you guys watch the reality show if you want to watch it. It ended up being pretty cool. We thought it was going to be boring because there's 11 people living in this house that just want to eat and sleep and work out. Like, that's all we thought we were doing, but they do the challenges and they put everything together. There's like 10 episodes that are 20 minutes long, so it's a quick watch. So I'll let you guys check that out. I will say that at the end, first of all, during the whole process, we weren't allowed cell phones, internet, music, TV, like zero contact with the outside world, and we were allowed to leave the house once a week to go grocery shopping. So we were literally in that house for like 7 weeks with no contact with the outside world. And that was difficult. And at the end, they narrow it down to 3 people. And we actually filmed 3 different endings before we left to go home. So we did not know the winner either. We did not know the winner until they aired all of the episodes later that year. And about last October is when they finally aired the episode where I won. So when you guys found out that I won that episode is when I found out that I won that episode. So I had a long, long waiting period of just knowing that I was in the top 3 without knowing like what was going to happen next. So after that, we had to kind of move fast because, my kind of introduction to all of the coaches was a little bit backwards compared to other people. Usually it's like, okay, here's the new trainer and here's their program that's going to be coming out soon. And with me, it's just kind of like, here's the new trainer and we'll see what we're going to create. So we had to like get the ball rolling. So I sat down with Carl, and really what we talked about from the workouts that I had to create on the 20s, everybody thought I was going to have like this athletic program and it was going to be really intense. But what Carl and I talked about was how I got started, which was pulling friends and family along with me on my fitness journey and making it feel like an easy first step into fitness and a very family-oriented, like inclusive step into fitness. So that's what we talked about, and that's where we wanted to go with my first program. Carl had the idea for Clean Week because he's been watching you guys. You should know that he is so in tune and watching you guys all the time to figure out what you guys need and what works for you guys and what he can do to make your jobs easier and more successful. Like, he's always watching you guys to help you. And so he told me about this concept of Clean Week. And what we talked about is that we still wanted Clean Week to be a substantial workout program. We didn't want people to enter it feeling like they are going to do the baby program or something like that, because we'll talk about the modifier intensifier situation in a second. But just like nobody wants to do the modifier, nobody wants to enter a program that's like, well, I'm doing less than what I should be doing or what other people are doing. So we still wanted it to be a substantial program, but accessible to all levels. And that's what Clean Week is. So all of the moves should be very simple to execute and to get in and out of. And then there's the intensifier instead of the modifier in Clean Week. That came about because when they first brought me into Beachbody and they said, okay, make all these workouts, I made the workouts and they brought me a group of employees. And the employees were all different fitness levels from Beachbody, and I taught the workout. So at the beginning, I still had the regular, move and then a modified move. But just like we were just talking about, nobody wants to do the modified move. So I had a group of all different fitness levels, and not a single person did the modified move, which is what was really supposed to make it a beginner program. So at the end of the workout, I had people dropping like flies. I had people like, I have a meeting to go to. I'm sorry, I can't say goodbye, like running out of the room. I had people telling me it's like insanity. It's not a beginner's program. Like, it's too intense. And so I was like, oh man, okay, I have to go back to the drawing board. So I go back to the drawing board, change a few things. We do the same thing again the next day and same response. So finally I'm like, okay, nobody's going to do the modifier. Even like kind of said, hey, I need everybody to do the modifier today, and nobody did the modifier. So the next day I came in and I used the modifier as the base move basically. And in that instance, everybody felt included in what was going on. They all did that base move. And then I gave them the option a little bit later of, hey, if you want to take it up a notch, you can do this move. And then only a couple of people took it up that notch. And it was all the people that could take it up that notch. So a couple of people took it up a notch, tried the intensifier. Some people would try it and then come back down. And they really started making the workout their own at that point, and kind of doing what their body said that they could. And then the response after that workout was amazing. It was, okay, I still sweat. I still feel like I got a real workout in, but I don't feel like my joints hurt. I felt like it was simple moves that everybody could do, and I feel good afterwards. I feel included. And then the best part was some of the more beginner people that got to try the intensifier were like, oh man, like I did that workout and I crushed that workout because I got to do the intensifier too. So it almost made them like a little bit more confident after they did that workout of, man, I crushed it because I got to take it up a notch. So that's what Clean Week is all about, as far as just including everybody in this workout. Anybody can do it and get a great workout in. The core function has been out all week, so hopefully you guys have tried it out, and have seen that, it doesn't matter if you've been really consistent with your workouts, you can still get your sweat on and get a substantial workout out of Clean Week. So the other thing is, it takes a lot of barriers away. So I talk about the fit barriers. It's financial, it's insecurities, and it's time barriers. So FIT. And financial is going to go away because Clean Week is in front of the paywall. So they're not going to have to put their credit card down for a potential membership. You're not going to have to remind them to take their credit card off if they don't want that membership. They're just going to have to put in basic information, name, email address, things like that, in order to sign up for a free profile. And they talked about that at Super Saturday this past weekend. So they would set up a free profile, and then of course you want them to buy the challenge pack, which is going to be the 7-day Shakeology sampler and the meal plan. And you want them to buy that challenge pack. Like, you can still access the workouts without it, but really Clean Week is about kind of opening the doors into all things Beachbody. For me, another reason why I kind of connect to this program is I didn't know what Beachbody was when they called me up to do that reality show. I knew of Tony Horn, I knew of 21 Day Fix and Body Beast. I've seen all the programs, but I didn't know what Beachbody was, and I think a lot of people don't. They've heard bits and pieces, but they don't realize it all falls under this one company that has kind of everything that they need in order to start living this healthier, more fit lifestyle. So this is supposed to open up all those doors. It's supposed to show them that these are, legitimate workouts. It's supposed to connect them to Shakeology. It's supposed to connect them to you as a coach so that they know that they have this incredible support network. So in order to do that, they really need to have the full package. Of course, you're going to have people that either already have Shakeology or are still like even so far back that they need to just put that toe in the water even a little bit more. So the option is still there, but you want to make sure that they get that challenge pack so that way they experience all of these things. During the workouts, we talk about all the different programs. So that's another reason it kind of opens the door into all things Beachbody. We do a move, it's like a sumo squat. And then I'm talking about, hey, if you like this move, this is a move that Siggy does in Body Beast. But of course, he's going to make you pick up those weights because Body Beast is a weight training program. Something simple like that, that's not too like crazy salesy. I'm not doing it all the time, but just kind of throwing those little bits out there. So that way at the end of the week, they're able to say, okay, I've heard of all these programs and I really like weight training, so I'm going to go into Body Beast. And of course, you'll be there to kind of guide them along as well. The workouts are a strength training workout, core function, which you guys have tried, cardio, and a stretching workout. So core function, as you guys have seen, is not just an ab workout, it's a full body workout. The cardio one is a lot of different moves, again, very accessible. The stretching one is not like yoga by any means. I am not a yogi, and you guys have plenty of awesome yoga programs on Beachbody On Demand, so I will leave that to them. Mine is more of like activating certain muscles, maybe they haven't in a long time. We move through some of the moves even slower to talk more and more about form, because that is so important for somebody just starting out. And then there's, of course, some stretching and some lighter movements. And that workout comes in the middle of the week when they're probably feeling sore and a little beat up. So that way they can kind of have that recovery day of moving slower and recovering their bodies. So those are the 4 workouts. Trying to think if I missed anything for the workouts. I don't think so. You guys can let me know if you have any questions about that at the end. And then, of course, the nutrition. So the nutrition has 7 different breakfast options, lunch options, and dinner options. So even though it's only a week-long program, there's 21 different meals to choose from. And there's vegan and vegetarian and gluten-free options. Like, there's literally something for everyone in there. And my whole thing is, when I'm teaching my beginners about how they should be starting out on their fitness journey and about nutrition, it's very simple. And I never cut out any food groups. A lot of people were like, well, what about the keto diet? What about this diet? For the beginners, I like giving them that foundation and that base. So that way, if they want to start playing with their workouts later and trying different things and experimenting, they can, but they have a baseline to fall back on. Because the worst thing would be, what I see all the time, is somebody starts out on a more extreme version where they're trying to experiment with their diet. They cut out or reduce very heavily some food group, and then for some reason they can't sustain it. It's too much for them at the beginning, and there's nothing to fall back on. And so they just go back to their old habits. So at least here we're going to create a baseline, a foundation, something that's very simple. So like I said, if they want to start experimenting and learning new things and expanding their horizons later, they still have something very simple to fall back on if they need to. So the meal plan is super simple. The meals are super simple. There's not going to be any like crazy spices that you have to buy where you use it for one meal and then you never use it again. And then you end up spending like $300 on all this crap that you're never going to use again, things like that. There's none of that. So simple ingredients, simple recipes. I'm not a chef, and I don't want to spend hours in the kitchen, and I know a lot of other people don't as well, especially beginners that are already a little like overwhelmed with all the changes that they're making. So this should be an easy way for them to kind of put their foot into the water in just eating clean. We're not going to be talking to them too much about like macro counts or anything like that. It's just calorie count for under 185 pounds, calorie count for over 185 pounds, and clean, healthy recipes. All right. So that's going to be the nutrition portion of it. So yeah, everything's about creating that foundation for somebody who's just starting out on that fitness journey, or somebody just getting back into their fitness journey. Or sometimes I've even been guilty of this, is we start making things so complicated for ourselves. Sometimes it's nice to go back to the basics for a week. So even for somebody who's been going, who's consistent, sometimes it's just, okay, I need to go back to the basics and kind of reset myself. So it's really for anybody. So I hope you guys will try out Core Function, and I hope you guys are excited about Clean Week. I know they've been posting a lot about how to implement Clean Week. It is out on October 3rd, and everything comes out on October 3rd. So obviously, you're not going to be able to start your challenge group on October 3rd because they're not going to have the meal plan and they're not going to have their 7-day Shakeology sampler by then. So some people have been talking about maybe starting like a coaches group on the 3rd, so you guys can try the workouts, and you guys have Shakeology and everything like that. You have meal plans that you're following. So at least you'll be able to try out the workouts and see exactly what you're going to be showing your potential challengers, and then maybe starting a challenge group sometime after that. I've heard a lot of people of starting on like October 16th, I think the day was. And I think Beachbody is going to come out with some more information on that as well. So yeah, I can't start on October 3rd if you don't have all the things in place. Yeah, do you guys have questions for me? Let me see. on the chat part.
Yeah, if you guys have questions, you can go ahead and post them in the chat and let Megan know. I do have one question, and it's simple ingredients, simple meals, and you said the way that it'll be divided for the calorie counts is just simply above or below 185 pounds. That's going to be the threshold. We're not using containers for this, I would assume, right?
No containers. Then you guys are going to have to pick kind of the program that they're going into after this. This is only a week, so we don't want to dive too much into complicated things that they need to learn, because they're going to be just getting a hold of things like containers by the time the week's over, and they're like, okay, well, now I just figured this out. So no containers, nothing, that they need to figure out really, besides just here's your healthy meal, here's the portions that you're going to eat for the week, and kind of take it from there.
Awesome. That makes it even easier for everybody. If you guys have questions, go ahead. If you want to unmute, or you can pop it into the chat box for Megan.
I know I kind of talk fast and feel like I word vomit on you.
No, that's okay, because I got it all. The only thing with the fit barriers, what was the FIT? Because I wrote down F and then didn't get that far.
Financial insecurities and time. Time barrier would be, people don't want to spend so much time in the kitchen. People don't want to spend so much time doing workouts. The workouts are only 30 minutes long. And like I said, I don't like spending a lot of time in the kitchen either. So they're simple.
Awesome.
I see one question from Ginger. What type of equipment is needed for their strength training workout? There is weights that are needed, just a light pair of dumbbells, especially for beginners. If you guys as coaches are doing clean week, then you might want a heavier pair for the leg exercises and a lighter pair for things like the tricep exercises. But I would say a very light pair of dumbbells, and you might even want to tell your challengers, or especially if somebody's definitely a beginner, like I said, these are still substantial workouts. So you might want to talk to them about their pacing on the workouts. They might want to go even slower than we go in clean week. It is a slower pace in clean week, but if they need to take down the pace or drop the weights, and we do talk about this in the workout, but just to reiterate to them, if they want to drop the weights for some of the moves, especially the leg moves, because there's a lot of leg work in clean week, they can definitely drop the weights and just do body weight and get just as much out of it. How can we get the meal plan if we're already BOD members and drinking Shakeology? Some people may still be struggling to start something, and this could be a great step for simple, clean eating, etc. Yes, so the meal plan and Shakeology, if you already have Shakeology and still want the meal plan. They talked about this at Super Saturday as well, and it was actually I didn't even know about this part yet. The reason, so Clean Week was originally supposed to be out in September. We pushed it back a little bit just because we're still figuring out all these little details of it's different than any other program. We have it in front of the paywall and things like that. So all that tech aspect and kind of getting the information, those little things still needed to be worked out. So that's why it got pushed back a little bit. So this part was even news to me over the Super Saturday. Forgive me if I misspeak, but I believe that you are going to be able to share the meal plan to your group, even if they didn't buy the Shakeology sampler pack. So they talked about creating a new online system, I think, during Super Saturday. And so they're going to be making it available so you can just kind of share the meal plan. So if somebody already has Shakeology, they're not going to have to pay the $30. They're going to have free access to the workouts, and then you're going to just be able to share the meal plan with them.
Yeah, I think that was how they explained it. Amanda, if you already have BOD, I don't know if it's all BOD members that are going to access it or if it's just for coaches in the challenge group guide, but you can check the FAQ for that. But there's a way for coaches to at least have access to it. So you can share it with your challengers that may already be drinking Shakeology and just sort of, like Megan said, just kind of need to reset and kind of get themselves back to where they need to be. So it's not that you're already drinking Shakeology and you have to go in and order a sampler just to get the meal plan. If you already have everything, somehow, some way, you're gonna have it.
Yeah, so the sampler is really for new people, like completely new people into Beachbody. That's who that's going to be for, and everybody else is still going to be able to access, the meal plan and the workouts. It says, I love the accelerator. My mom is almost 70, and right before Clean Week was announced, she was saying there should be a program with an accelerator, so it would be more accessible to her age group. So excited for it. Oh, awesome. Yeah, I thought it was important. I should have even known, like before I even went into doing that first test group with the employees, I should have known that that was going to happen. I teach classes here all the time in the gym, and that happens every single time. I can have somebody like, oh, I blew out my knee, X amount of years ago, and I haven't been the same since. And I'm like, okay, we're not going to be jumping today. And then like without fail, they start jumping. And I'm like, what are you doing? So it's really important for people just starting out to kind of like have that range that they're able to work in. The other important thing is this is not a before and after program. This is not something that you really want to see huge changes in. I will say that we did run a couple of test group with just, randoms. And if we had a true beginner going through that test group, we had a couple of people that had a good amount of weight to lose, and they lost like 9 pounds in that first week. And that's not typical. It's a lot of water weight, things like that. But I have to say, if I'm a beginner and I start out on a program and I lose 9 pounds, I'm going to be like, I'll do whatever you want to do. I'm connected to Beachbody for life. So this should be something great for beginners to kind of take that first step and see great results. And then, of course, after that, it should be kind of level out to 1 to 2 pounds a week, a healthy weight loss, and really you want to kind of push people into what's going to be that next program for them. We talk a lot about that at the end of each workout. Is we start talking about Shakeology at the end of the workout, and we also start talking about towards the middle end of the week, like start thinking about which program that you're going to want to be doing, because you don't want them to get to the end of the week and they have no idea what's coming next, and now a couple of days go by where they do nothing. You want them to kind of already have that plan in mind to keep on going. And whether that's another program, if they want to say, hey, I'm not ready for another program, I want to do another round of Clean Week, they definitely can. That's not a big deal. But this is an introduction into Beachbody, so you do want to start kind of pushing them and encouraging them to graduate, basically.
Yeah, actually, that's the next question is, can it be repeated? Like the meal plan is a very simple, easy meal plan that since there's no deprivation, it can just be repeated over and over again for a couple of weeks till they sort of figure out.
Definitely. It can be repeated, and there's so many meal options that they can try other, variations of that meal option. And I would encourage people to try it full force. Like I said, people like to experiment a lot with their diets. And I'm not necessarily against that, as long as, like, for me, when I cut out too much fat and my hair starts falling out, we have an issue. But people that want to experiment with their diets, I don't have an issue with that. It's when you start a program and then say, well, I'm going to do this part of the program, but not that part of the program. Well, then you're not doing the program and you're not going to probably see results, because you're picking and choosing and you're not sticking to anything. So I would encourage people to just stick with what the program is for what it is, and then go from there.
Right. So if they don't have something set at the end of the first week, they can say, I'm going to repeat, I'm going to do this one more time, or I'm going to do this 2 more times, and kind of see what workouts I like, what I want to do, what kind of meal plan I want to follow, and kind of go from there. And we see that all the time, guys. I mean, that's not new. How many times do we see somebody say, I'm doing Shift Shop, but I'm not doing the meal plan? And, then we wonder why challengers, don't have the results, because it's a package deal, that's not new, I don't think, to anybody, but, it's important to keep reminding your challengers, because, the nutrition is the hardest part of it. We all know that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've run challenge groups in my gym for so long. So, like, I feel like I connect with you guys so much, because I know exactly what barriers and obstacles you're facing. And I definitely have had the people that come in like, well, I want to do your nutrition guidance, but I don't want to do your workouts, or vice versa. And I'm like, and those people never see the results. Those are the people that drop out. Those are the people that I don't hear from the entire time. And all of a sudden they're at the end of the program like, well, this didn't work for me. I'm like, you literally did none of it. So trying to keep them on track and on a specific program, like that's going to be the best results that they're going to see from any program.
Awesome.
I see one question. So can we offer the free trial plus the sampler of Shakeology? That way they will have not only Clean Week and access to the meal plan, but everything else. The only difference is entering the credit card information, if I am correct. Yes. So if you can get people into the free trial and they're fine with you putting in their credit card information, then go for it. But the other option is, and especially with somebody who's very hesitant and doesn't know what they're getting themselves into, I guess the other option was taking them through Clean Week. And they're still going to, I believe, be able to see kind of everything that they're missing at that point. So that's going to want them to be like, okay, well, I want to see the free trial. And then once they see the free trial, it's like, I want to continue on with this. So that kind of stretches that process out longer. But the sooner you can get somebody to commit, go for it.
Yeah, they'll be able to see everything on BOD, and it's all going to be locked. So, if you could get them in front of the paywall, then they have like serious FOMO. Like they're going to see all this stuff. It's all locked. They'll see, the extra content. They'll see Fixate, the cooking show. They'll see all this stuff. And then they're going to be like, all right, now I kind of want to know what this is. And that's why they have it that way in front of the paywall. Because if they have access to everything, sometimes it's overwhelming, especially for brand new people. It's like, so giving them just Clean Week, I think whoever thought of that, I think it's fantastic because they're going to sort of see everything else, but at the same time, they don't get distracted because they just have you to focus on, for 7 days. So it's 7 days and it's 4 workouts. And then I assume we're repeating the workouts in a schedule throughout the 7 days.
Yes. So I think the only workout you don't repeat is like the stretching recovery workout. So that one's in the middle of the week. So you'll do 1, 2, 3. Stretching recovery, 1, 2, 3.
Perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come on tonight. I really appreciate it. This was super helpful for me. Even though I was at Summit and I was at Super Saturday and watched the video, it's so nice to sort of hear the concept of where it came from and why you guys developed it this way. So thank you for taking the time to come on with us. I'm so excited for this. I hope that you guys are excited. I hope this was helpful for all of you guys. And we're so excited to have this. So thank you for taking the time to come on tonight. I know your schedule is crazy, so we really, really appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Like I said, first of all, you can follow me on Megan Davies Fitness on Facebook, Megan Davies Fitness on Instagram, and never feel like you can't reach out to me or ask me a question. It might take me a day or two to go into my messages, but ask away because like this is like I want to pinch myself every day. I'm like, how did I get here? And so to be able to like actually connect with you guys and have that opportunity to talk to you guys, hear your story and help you in any way I can, like that's exactly where I want to be. I don't want to just be a face. I want to be involved. So don't think I'm too busy. Please like ask away and always feel free to just message me and whatever. Just say hi if you want to.
All right. Thank you so much, Megan. Thanks, guys. And thank you all for hanging out so late with us. I know it's late on the East Coast. So thank you guys for hanging out so late. And thanks again, Megan. We'll see you guys soon.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Have a good night, everybody.